It's a little different. No music. Welcome to Jude, the podcast. I'm David Jude. I'm your host for this show. Thanks, everybody, for listening in. A little different show lined up for you guys today. So, but first, we've got to introduce Miss Amanda. She's on the microphone today. It has been a hell of a Monday, and this is just going to continue it. So, Amanda, say hello.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So we thought we'd do something different. Instead of a different guest, we thought we would do a Q&A type show where we just have a discussion among us and answer some of the questions that we always get, whether it be in our day jobs or about the podcast and different things like that. So hopefully we'll have a good time with it. And yeah, we'll do these from time to time and kind of break it up a little bit and do something different. So yeah, here we go.
It's going to be fun.
We'll have a big time. Yeah. So we're just going to go back and forth. Again, we've got several questions that have been sent in to us, and let's just jump into it and see where it takes us.
First, I'm going to put you in the hot seat.
Yes.
Right where you love to be.
Yeah. Which she does most every day, by the way.
Every day,
yeah.
All day long.
There's an opportunity. She takes it.
Well, first share with our listeners what's inspired or motivated you to start this podcast.
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, the mantra, is that the right thing to say? The motto, the vision of the show is conversations with exceptional people. And that's really what brought the show on, as we were trying to figure out, you know, what to do and who to talk about and with and all those different things. That seemed like it came back up, and I give you a lot of credit for that. So, you know, we had talked about doing a show on criminal justice or music, which we'll cover both of those, ironically, in this Q&A show. We talked about doing specific shows, and Amanda was the one that challenged me to say, hey, hang on a second. Don't put yourself in a box. You know, you can still talk about all those things, all that you want, but if you box yourself in, then you're limited to what's inside the box. And, you know, it took me a little bit to think about that and to do some research on other shows. But at the end of the day, I thought, no, that's actually great advice. And it has been. So really the show is not about anything particular. It's about meeting and talking with great people. And so that comes from conversations I've always had with my brother along the way, who I consider just freaking phenomenal musician guy. And he would tell you no, and he would probably tell me to cut this part out of my show, but I'm entitled to my own opinions for that.
Sure.
And we used to have those conversations to say, you know, there's world-class musicians that are literally right beside you, and you just never know it. You could be at the grocery store, you could be wherever, right? And there's just world-class people, musicians, talented people that are right beside you, and you wouldn't know it until you got into a conversation with them. You know, not everybody's David Lee Roth that you'd recognize, or whoever your favorite person is. Not everybody's that person. And so, you know, there's a lot of talented people around us. Anyway, that was kind of the basis to say, okay, we may not be able to interview all the David Lee Roths yet, all those type of people, but we'll get there. But there's a lot of fantastic people that we come across in our everyday lives that are doing even better work to make our communities and societies and people and all these things better. There's just some freaking fantastic people that exist. And I think that was really the idea between us, to say, let's talk to those people and let's see if we can get them in here, and let's talk about a wide variety of topics that we think people like us would like to hear about. And I think that was the driving force behind the show. As far as, you know, for me and doing a podcast, I've always been pretty comfortable talking and pretty comfortable doing these type of things. And I'm not a person that's able to say that I have a voice to do this, but
you do.
But it kind of feels that way some days, where you're like, you know what, you have a voice, and maybe you have a platform or an interstate or a road or something of which to accomplish it. So I think it just came from, I don't want to call it a gift, but I have this gift of gab, and I have this gift to meet people and then talk to people, which I do every single day. Why not mix it all together? So I think that's probably it.
Yeah.
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 Does that sound about right?
Yeah. A little long-winded. But that's David Jude.
Hey, that's question 1. And I'm debating if I said enough. 17 people already turned the radio off.
I think so.
They'll come back.
So while I have you talking about yourself,
oh gosh,
share your story with our listeners. Not everybody knows about you and the wonderful career and life that you've had.
Yeah.
Challenging, all of the good things about it.
Yeah.
Share all of that with us.
Okay.
As much as you'd like.
Yeah, that's right. So, if you've listened to the show in the previous episodes, on occasion, you'll hear my previous life was in law enforcement, or you'll hear something about being a private investigator. But let's back up a little bit. So I knew my joke's been ever since I come out of the womb that I wanted to be a state trooper. That's what my dad was. My brother retired from law enforcement also. So it's kind of what I knew. Now, my dad gave me the advice. He said, son, use your brains and go do something different. Don't do this work. But when that's what you want to do, when that's what's in your heart or whatever, that's what you choose to do. I don't know how much I need to go here because I'll turn off the other 17 listeners defending, but I was doing computer science because I was trying to use my brain and follow a money trail as opposed to following my heart. And I wasn't doing well in school. So if I would have I was doing computer science. If I'd have went into another computer thing, I would have stuck with it. I think it was called computer information systems at the time. And it was more of the use of computers and how to practically use a computer. Mm-hmm. Computer science got into how to program the computer, and two different things.
Yuck.
Yuck. Because I was following what I thought was the money trail as opposed to following my heart. I didn't know the difference between them.
Right.
But I got into it and I thought, this isn't good. And for some reason, I went to like Calc 4 at Eastern. Like, who in the world has any use in going to Calculus 4 at the university level?
Yeah.
Yeah, not me.
Loser.
Yeah. And I found myself like failing, right? But if I could take that math class again, I could get like a C- on the last day of, and I was like, my God, man, it's taking you to the very end of this thing to get like a 1 percentage point over to pass.
Yep.
Yeah. My advisor in college is at EKU, Eastern Kentucky University. His name was Chongkai Rhee, I think, if I've got that right. And so being a, young college kid, you're trying to listen to your computer science guy, and he's trying to tell you how to program computers. And then I finally get up the nerve to go talk to my counselor, advisor, to say, hey, I'm sure I'm the only college student in the history of colleging that is struggling here. And so then he looked at me and said, you know what? I don't even own a computer. I'm not a computer science. I teach math.
Really?
Yeah. And so I'm looking at him with my books and my notes, and this look I got in my face right now looking at Amanda, like, I think I said the same thing. Really? You're like, yeah, I don't even own a computer. Don't even have a computer. Don't even use them here. I'm a math teacher. And it was at that moment I thought, what the hell am I doing in computer science?
Gosh.
Because he just said, I can't help you. But he's my professor at a freaking university. So I did the next best thing. I decided to intern and start working jobs.
Quick learner.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I took a couple jobs, or a job interning at Lexmark, working on technical support for printers, because it was related. And here's how dumb I was is for co-op hours, sign up for a full-time semester of co-op hours. Right. And then the bill comes. You're like, mom and dad, thank you so much for helping me and paying for college at that point. And they're like, son, like, well, I got to stay a full-time student. No, you don't. Take 1 hour.
Right.
Go up for 1 hour. It would cost us like a sandwich or something.
They should have given the bill to you.
They should. Yes, they should have.
Perspective.
Oh, yes. If I owe them anything, it would be for being patient, as I figured out my idiotness for computer science. And so anyway, I got to Lexmark, and I can still see myself right now. I can put myself where I was at when my mom called me and said, well, what do you want to do? And I was overlooking New Circle from the, I forgot the building, maybe 34, or maybe it's, 30, I don't know, who cares? But my little cubicle overlooked New Circle, right by the flagpoles. And I said, well, I'm doing this because that's what you and Dad want me to do.
Oh.
Yeah. And she's like, son, no, this ain't about what we want you to do.
We're drowning in debt. Please pick another thing, another career path.
But if you do it, can you not co-op full-time hours next semester?
Correct.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. And I'm like, well, this is what I always wanted to do. And she's like, well, why aren't you doing that? Well, this is the reason. She goes, no, son, you got to follow your heart. And I said, okay. So immediately there, I started, applying for law enforcement positions, and started my career in Lexington. Worked in Lexington for about 4.5 years, which was awesome. Great place to be. But it didn't satisfy exactly what I was after as far as the job itself, because I grew up wanting to be with the Kentucky State Police. So a few short years later, I left Lexington and went to the State Police. And ironically, I started 30 years to the day of my dad. So he started February 14th of 69, and I started February 14th of 99.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool. Isn't it?
That is really neat.
Yeah. Yeah. His academy didn't start till later, but he started with the agency at that day. So that was pretty cool.
That is really neat.
Yeah. It's pretty neat. So yeah. Stayed with the State Police career. Did a bunch of different things, trooper, detective. Went to the training academy for a total of 5 years the first time. And then I went to public affairs, where I was the spokesperson for the agency on TV and radio and all those things, doing these type of things. So that's probably where the ability to talk was partially crafted.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I went back to the academy as the commander, went to my home post area as the commander, and then went to the executive staff, the command staff of the State Police. And by this point, I knew that I didn't want to stay in law enforcement. I was still young enough to get out and start a second career. And so for those who are listening, at least in Kentucky, at the time, we had a 20-year hazardous duty retirement. So I knew that I would still be young enough to go get a second career, basically.
Sure.
And that's what I wanted to do at the time. You don't make a lot of money at the state. So, so I wanted to go do something else. So yeah, it came time to retire. I can't say that I would necessarily was ready to retire. Parts of me would tell you, yeah, I was definitely ready, but other parts, you enjoy that life and that job and everything that it has.
Sure.
But I left, ran a nonprofit for about 10 months, which was fine. And then I got hired by one of the world's largest consulting firms, with the big green dot. So you can look those people up. Stayed about 10 months at that job, and I'll save all the listeners the next 3 hours of me horribly bitching about the green dot.
Beep, beep.
Yeah,
Beep, 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 beep.
Yeah, Amanda doesn't have a, whatever you call that thing that you beep out all my words, my descriptors. I say that, but I look at, it's Deloitte Consulting. I look at my time with Deloitte as opportunity wasted, time wasted. It wasn't, but I look at it because I didn't fit in and I wasn't going to be successful. And that was a real shock to my system, because I have never and haven't since. That's the only time in my life ever that I could look at something and say, dude, you're not going to be successful.
And what a blessing that lesson is.
And what a blessing that lesson is.
You don't want to hear that, but it is.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
Great environment. I feel like I have a love-hate relationship with the big boss man. Fascinated every day to learn, the way that he and they do business. It truly is fascinating. I love that stuff.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, it was time for me to go.
Yep.
And
you
so,
know.
yeah, I knew. I knew because I was eating lunch like in my car. I would just try to leave the building, and it's like, where am I going to go? So let's just go, get away. And you start thinking, man, this is not good. This is not healthy. This is not whatever.
Sure.
Their culture was, you could have 50 people show up for a meeting and nobody would talk. So it was really weird coming from a social creature that I am, that everything around me has been about talking. We are so glad to have Ugly Tent as a sponsor to the show. My longtime friend Kenny Dietrich is a subject matter expert in modern survival, bushcrafting, and preparedness. As he challenges on the show, be prepared for the disaster most likely to happen to you. But let me tell you, Ugly Tent is so much more than just disaster preparedness. You need to check out the website at uglytent.com. That's UGLYTENT.com for a complete list of their products, their classes, and all the services that Kenny offers. There's a lot that I think you'll find interesting at uglytent.com. Again, just a neat place to go. So whether it's for camping, maybe it's a hike, maybe it's just trying to be in the outdoors for a little bit, uglytent.com is filled with the products and the services that you want. Not to mention you have a true expert as a resource for you. Listen, while you're there, use the promo code Jude. That's lowercase Jude. And that code will get you 10% off your total purchase. That's a pretty good deal for some really cool stuff. Anyway, check out Kenny at uglytent.com.
So 50 of you gathered in the same meeting room and nobody talks to the other person.
Very, very limited at best. Yeah.
Wild.
I'm not even telling you how wild it is. It's just everybody opens their laptop and everybody starts typing and everybody's doing something on their computer.
Kind of like daily life today. But we do it on a cell phone.
Yeah, but do it on a cell phone. But so you could walk to a meeting and you may get well, hey Amanda, how are you? Mm-hmm. You may get that. You may not. Mm-mm. And if you sit down beside somebody, they may have to move their stuff. So you could sit down, and so that may force an interaction. Mm-hmm. But there's a really good chance that they would just move their stuff, and you would just get out your laptop and whatever. And so for me, I walked in. Of course, I was not doing well, and I was kind of a lost ball in high weeds. Admit what it is. Yep. And I was like, I don't have enough stuff to sit on. I can only check email every 5 seconds. I mean, what are they doing? And toward the end, I sent my wife a picture. We were all sitting in an open office space, very nice office space. And these are great people. They're super nice people.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
But I sent her pictures like I just walked into this area and not one person has even looked up from their laptops, much less engaged in a conversation, much less spoke, waved, anything. And so I took a picture of a bunch of people working, on a table, and we all say the same thing. That's weird. And it's like, yeah, this is a weird environment.
It's not healthy.
Yeah, and that's the pressure that those big companies put on their people.
Yep.
Billable hours and push. And for all I know, they were on all kinds of, because if you get on a project there, you're literally dealing with people around the world.
Sure.
So you'd be on a call with folks from India and Mexico and wherever else this project has, not to mention across the country. So it's possible that they were engaged in that or working on some aspect of a project.
While they're waiting on a group meeting.
While they're waiting on a group meeting. Yeah. Right. So
it's crazy.
Every listener on here is saying, mm-hmm. And finally I was like, no, they're just opening their laptops to give the appearance, I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
How important they are.
Yeah, it was a tough environment.
Sure.
And so there's part of me that still wishes I was part of that because I feel opportunity lost.
Sure.
And, the way I explained it during my interview with him was they're the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
And whether you like the Yankees or you don't like the Yankees,
Mm-hmm.
if the Steinbrenner family calls you or whoever's running the Yankees now, I have no idea. But if you got an opportunity to wear those pinstripes that Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig and Mickey Mantle and all those people wore, if you got the opportunity to wear those pinstripes, you sign the deal and you wear those pinstripes.
For 10 months.
Right, for 10 months. For as long as you can
wear them with honor.
Here's the honor. Get honor and stay honor. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So I did it. Yeah. The end wasn't pleasant, but, it never is. But even in the unpleasantness, as I tried to defend it a little bit, the pressure became off and they're like, hey, you're just not on this project no more. And you've got X number of weeks to find the next project if you want. And I tried, but this is the 3 hours of bitching that I'm going to save everybody. I didn't know how. I couldn't. I didn't feel it was going to work anyway. And so I thought, my gosh, man, what am I going to do? Because my pension didn't cover the bills.
Mm-hmm.
So I still had to, my retirement from the state police didn't cover the bills. So I thought, man, you better find something.
Mm-hmm.
What's that going to look like? And I called some friends that we work with from time to time here in the office and said, okay, here's some ideas I have. What do you think? And, when you need people, they help.
The right ones do.
The right way. Yes. Well said. It's been a great Monday, hasn't it?
Yeah. A wonderful Monday. Started off with you getting a hug from my son.
That's right. Yeah. I got several from him. So that makes the day. That's for sure. So end up, the company had been around by this point for several years because
DPJ Consulting.
DPJ Consulting had been around since 2013.
Mm-hmm.
So it had been around for a few years at this point, which, by the way, Deloitte wanted me to close it. They're like, hey,
really?
You can't have that.
Even though you were just doing trainings really at that point?
Yeah. So I said, okay, well, what if I, for lack of a better term, licensed out or whatever. They had some conversations about absorbing that training and calling it theirs. But at some point they decided it's probably not big enough for them to jump on board. But I was supposed to license it out. And I did the trainings. But I kept the company. So that was great intuition that I didn't recognize that I had. So instead of closing it, I thought, just keep it in the background. If you ever get called on the carpet, then you can deal with it somewhere down the road. But figure yourself out before you just do all that. So, fast forward to leaving, I thought, well, you still have your company, and there's two things that I always wanted as a kid. Number one was to be a state trooper. Two is to try to, check. Two is to be my own boss and to work for myself. So anyway, I called a couple people and said, tell me about this private investigator thing. Tell me about working criminal defense investigations, because at this point I'd just been on one side of the courtroom. Tell me what that looks like. And I don't know about that,
That's dicey.
Yeah, it's something. It's like, I don't know if I want to do that. And again, had good people tell me good advice. And I was like, okay. So I thought, well, you know what? If I'm ever going to try to work for myself, and just to put you in the timeline, this is end of 2018, moving into 2019. So pre-pandemic. I thought, okay, let's try it. Let's give it a shot and let's see what happens. And so I ended up leaving Deloitte and came to now work for myself. And I went home and said the same thing to my daughter, like my wife and my daughter, and said, this is, what's happening. And it's like, hey, go for it.
Yep.
Like, are you sure? I mean, this is the income for the family, right? So are you sure? Like, yeah, go for it, baby. Have at it.
Yep.
See what you can do. Okay.
We got to eat.
Yeah. Mama needs a new bag. Yep. So I was like, all right, let's try it. and, off we go. And I had somebody give me a case, and off I started working and trying to learn about it, and off we go. So that's what's led me to where we are now, which is we have 4 people that kind of work within the office. There's a lot of stuff happening here, a lot of cases. We got several different service lines, and I think it's safe to say we're still trying to figure it out every day, what it looks like for tomorrow, because that's never really clearly defined. And there's no magic guidebook for how to do this.
I think we're writing it. We just don't know that yet.
Yeah, I think you're right. We are writing it.
We'll sit down one day and get it on paper, but
maybe one of these audios will help us. We'll just get it transcribed.
We can have our transcriptionist do that.
Yeah, we'll have our transcriptionist. She'll quit immediately.
Yes, you will.
Knew it. Yeah, I'm not mad. I knew you would, but yeah. Yeah, so that's the extended version of how I got to here. So there's a lot of stuff in between there, of course, but we can fill in. But that's how we got here.
That was a nice brief description. But great stories.
Yeah. Yeah. For those listening, this is me, right? Hey, David, what do you need for lunch? And like an hour and a half later, I think I come up with chicken or something, or,
While you're hangry as hell.
Yeah.
I'm over here trying to feed you peanuts and stuff. Get his blood sugar up.
Do something to him so he'll make a decision.
Well, that leads into, take a big deep breath for my next question, because you just kind of rushed through your whole trooper career.
Yeah.
Tell me about some favorite memories.
Favorite memories.
Yeah.
Yeah. In another episode, we talked about some of the bad stuff, and I don't want to say those are favorite memories, but they're certainly memories.
For sure.
Because they're experiences that you have and you share.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So they're cool stuff.
Yeah.
In that same episode, we talked about, I don't miss the job so much, and my job was, listen, I had a pretty good job, right? I only worked a couple years. Now in Lexington, I worked on the road. As a trooper, I only worked 2 or 3 years, 2.5 years or something in uniform, then went to be a detective. So as we had talked about before, every 3 or 4 years, there's some new iteration of me that's happening.
Right. Always something bigger, always something better.
Yeah. There's always some green grass that I'm chasing.
Yep.
So it wasn't like I spent my whole career, out pulling cars over and doing those types of things.
Right.
So it's hard to choose like some of that stuff, but without specific stories or memories, some of the favorite things are just being out there. I mean, in that job, it sounds cliche, but it's not. You're literally, it's you. And there's something cool about that. Mm-hmm. And I do miss that. Of course, it's a young man's game.
Absolutely. Yes.
You get called out at 2:30 in the morning to go 3 or 4 or 5 counties away to solve whatever is happening. And it's never something easy. It's always the worst thing of a community wants to experience. And you got to go. Mm-hmm. And so there's something about that it's, I won't call it a confidence, but there's just something about that ability to go out and do that. And that's pretty cool. And also just being out there. And, some people don't like being out there by themselves. But there's something really neat about that. You want to talk about checking yourself and,
yes,
you're in a backwoods area where there's no lights or anything else. And it's just you and you stop a car and you don't know what's in that car, so that's pretty interesting to figure that out. And you learn a lot about yourself in those moments.
For sure.
What you can and can't do.
Yep.
So I'll tell a funny story because we really need stories, not my philosophical ideas.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was the question.
So I'll tell a stupid one on myself because it's fitting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That should have been my question. What were some stupid memories about your own self that you remember?
In this 7-hour episode of David Rambling On. He tells one story.
Half.
Yeah. So at least in Kentucky, vehicle versus deer collisions. Have I told you this before?
I don't know.
Yeah, vehicle versus deer collisions happen, often, right? Deer run out, car hits it.
Yep.
Kentucky is a great hunter state. Mm-hmm. So, people are hunting deer and they eat and they feed their families and everything else with it. Well, the same thing happens on traffic stops. Is there will inevitably be someone that has to stop at the crash to see if they can take the deer.
Sure. Yeah.
And so
I can relate to this. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a hunter. I love hunting. I love all that stuff. I think it's all great, but I'm just not a hunter. There's better things for me to do than go sit in a cold tree stand and freeze my balls off while I'm sitting in a tree. Yeah. Just my own thing.
You can get hamburger meat at Walmart.
We think. So anyway, I show up at this wreck, and the way that generally works is the parties of the wreck get first dibs on the deer. Now, this isn't written down somewhere. It's just it's just the lay of the land, right? It's
Kentucky.
It is Kentucky. And then if there's two vehicles, the at-fault person gets second. The victim goes first, that first, at-fault next, and then you figure it out. So one of the differences that people to ask about, what's different about working for a state agency, like being the state police, versus working for the local agency? Well, with the state agency, at least the people in the communities that I worked, think everything.
Yeah.
Every law that's out there.
Right.
What a great responsibility and authority that is. So they look at you like, hey, then you know everything. I'm like, I don't know anything. Right. Anyway, we're at this wreck. It's like a 2:30 in the morning, and you can't get there from here. It's way out there. Single car collision, and the deer is still alive. Right. So we get there, and there's, of course, the guy on the side of the road says, I want that deer. And you're like, can I get out of the car? Can I figure out what's going on? And so then they come up, and I was like, we'll figure it out. Just give me a second.
The driver's wanting this deer.
Not the driver in the wreck. The driver, so he gets first choice.
Right.
The driver said, I don't want anything to do with it.
Okay.
So then the passerby.
Yes.
Yeah, it could be your deer.
Yeah.
So the funny part of the story is then they're like, hey, the deer's still alive. And I'm like, okay. So we kind of end up in this, feels like forever, this three-way standoff like The Office, when they're pointing guns at each other in a circle. Yes. We have this moment way up in rural Nicholas County. I mean, towards the northeast end of it, right? And we're all looking at each other. Well, it falls on you, Mr. Trooper, to kill the deer. Well, I've never shot a deer before. At the time, I had a 10-millimeter pistol, right? And I thought, okay, I guess I'll go kill a deer. But I don't know how to kill a deer. I don't know where I'm supposed to shoot it. And I know this sounds stupid, but you just got to be in this moment, right?
Well, I can see it clear as day.
Oh, yeah. And whatever vision you have is exactly right.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Yeah, it's Keystone-ish as we're going through this. So, I did at least dress up in my uniform, so I looked all pretty and had my nice, uniform on. And it is the country, so nobody's alarmed that you got to shoot a deer. It's just, Tuesday, whatever day it was.
Yep.
But you're the authority. You get to kill the deer. And I thought to myself, my gosh, what if I miss? How far am I supposed to stand away from the deer?
Are you thinking about trajectory so that you don't there's no splatter?
Oh, and I was thinking, well, you can't get too close to it because it's obviously going to die, but, it's not dead yet. So you're like, well, I can't just walk up on it because then it's going to ruin my uniform if I, maybe, or I didn't know what to do with it. So
you didn't look him in his eye, did he? Did you?
That deer's giving me like the middle hoof right now. I remember you, buddy.
Yeah.
So it was quite the moment for me to figure out, well, you can't ask, right? Because, there's only a handful of the troopers in the area. So you're, on one hand, let's go back to the serious side. You're the ultimate authority sometimes for what happens, keeping the peace in the community. And so as that person, you can't lose confidence and you can't lose trust and you can't lose those things. You have to maintain this level or protocol, whatever I'm trying to say.
Right.
Right. So anyway, sometimes you just have to draw a gun and go for it. And
did you shoot it in the leg? Because I think that's what you would do.
Listen, dear, this is going to hurt you or me worse than it's going to hurt you. No, I shot it between the eyes or in the head or something like that. So you're thinking about hiring a private investigator, huh? Think knowledge, experience, and trust. Think DPJ Consulting. Listen, we're the folks you want on your team. Whether it's a criminal matter, corporate, or administrative issue, or maybe something more personal, you need to make the right choice for you. Our house of expertise at DPJ Consulting can help you with investigations, and that can mean a whole lot of different things. Pre-employment background checks, personal VIP security, and so much more. Check us out at dpjconsulting.com. Follow us on all of our social media platforms, or give us a call at 855-TEAM-DPJ. That's 855-TEAM-DPJ. Give us a call. It costs nothing to talk. It costs you everything if we don't.
Did you ask them if they wanted to mount it first? It's kind of disrespectful if you didn't.
Kind of afraid what the answer would be. Not here, Jimmy. Put your pants on, Jimmy.
Yeah,
I didn't mean it like that. But you're in the right part of the country for that. So like,
she's still
Jimmy,
warm.
wait. Tell me when to shoot, Jimmy. Shoot it now.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't think I did. I think he was talking about the meat. I think it was a doe. I don't think it was really a mountable in that fashion type of deer.
She's probably still warm.
That fashion, yes, but on the wall, maybe not. So anyway, I thought, man, you got to do it. And so I walked up and did it, and fortunately I got it right, and the deer died, and I didn't miss or do anything else
And they
stupid.
didn't complain to you?
No,
about
nobody complained. No, he's like, all right, thank you, trooper. And he grabbed it and threw it in the truck, and off he went. And I was like, okay. I'm like, well, that's one to remember. And
definitely.
I haven't told that story many times. I don't
know that I've heard that one.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm drawn to share my story about a deer.
Yeah.
And the sheriff of Breckenridge County at the time when I was 17. So I lived alone when I was 17 years old, and all of this to say, I was with a friend in my car coming home from E-Town, and I lived in a little town called Garfield, and I was a half a mile from my home, and it was like blizzarding snowing. The roads were a solid sheet of ice, and I was in my little Hyundai Sonata. About a half a mile from the house, I hit a 12-point deer. Buck.
That's mountable.
Oh, definitely mountable. And here's why. Because when the sheriff gets there, the buck rolls over the top of the car and is on the side of the road, and he pushed us, like pushed the whole car over to the side of the road. So my friend and I were in the car waiting for help to get there, and he gets there, and we go sit in the police car, and 5 minutes later, I don't know how long it wasn't very long, but we had alcohol in the car.
What?
And we shouldn't have.
Oh.
So we were very concerned
Yeah.
about what was going to be found there. But we weren't drinking. We were not drinking, but we did have alcohol in the car. I hate to admit that. But we were shitting our pants. And he comes and he taps on the window, and we're like, And so I open the door.
I think I snorted.
And she's in the back seat, and he put me in the passenger seat. It's Breckenridge County.
Yeah.
You don't ask questions. And so I open the door, and he's standing there with the whole head of the deer. He went and chopped the freaking head off the deer. And he's like, you didn't keep this rack? It's a 12-point. That was a good one. He's like, I got a buddy on the way to come get the rest of the meat if you don't want it.
Cut the head off.
He cut the whole, and it's like dripping blood.
Yeah.
It's blizzarding outside.
Yeah.
And all me and my friend care about are, can you get us home?
Yeah.
And can we get the bag that's in here.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most bizarre memories that I have of Breckenridge County
That's
as a
hilarious.
high school kid. And,
Yeah.
nothing happened. I mean, like I said, we weren't drinking. We were completely, I would never do that. But yeah, it was very bizarre. The whole head, like, do you know, like my mom, and I'm living alone in the house in Garfield as a high schooler. And all I'm thinking is, oh shit, I'm about to get arrested. Even though I've literally not been drinking, but I do have possession of it. And it is my car. But the whole head, and it's just gushing blood. I don't know if I've ever told you that story either, but so I can relate to that whole.
Oh my gosh.
I wish he'd have just killed him instead of taking the damn head off, but he's like, I'm going to mount this rack. I collect these.
So instead of working the wreck or getting
the
two girls in the blizzard home, he's cutting the head off a deer.
He was cutting the head off the deer in the middle of a blizzard. But that's so Brett County. I don't know if you're familiar with Brett County, but
I've driven through it a time or two. Just a couple times. It kind of sums it up, doesn't it? Yeah.
On to you.
Yeah.
Back to you.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. Gosh, favorite stories. Man, the training academy stuff was just so fun.
Oh, sure.
Gosh. The yelling and screaming is part of it. It's very, military-esque. That's not the fun stuff. The fun stuff's just the daily stuff you get into, because you develop these super close relationships with some of the best people in the world, right? That they're truly great people.
Yes.
And so you just meet some of the coolest people, and then you get to hang out with them, and you get to do stuff that just doesn't exist anywhere else. And so it just puts you in this place. I mean, there's training trips where just the dumbest things happened, and I won't even tell the story to protect the innocent, but oh my gosh.
Can you tell the story namelessly?
Oh.
Anonymously?
No.
You don't have to.
No, well, we're going to pass that one. Yeah. I'll tell you some other time.
On a future episode. We'll tell it as me next time. Something I did.
You whipped your dick out?
Oh, impossible, actually.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. There's all kinds of stuff like that. Just there's certain calls that stay with me.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
There's certain things that happen, certain things you do along the way that, are pretty good stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never been a huge storyteller. Some people are. I guess I tell enough stories.
Lies.
Me telling lies now.
We're 40 minutes in, and we're only on question 2. 3.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the thing I miss the most is the people. I miss little bits about the job. I don't miss a lot about the job. But like those moments are fun moments, especially after you get done with them.
Yes.
Those are they're just lifetime moments that you're glad you were there. And in that career, you just have those so much. They're there all the time.
Yeah.
And so there's a bunch of those things. And then it's just the people that you work with are just awesome. So the biggest thing I miss is the people.
Yeah,
it's just good
for
people.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we halfway answer that?
Not really. Next time. I'll ask you the next time we do.
More stories?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll come up with
more stories from David Jude.
We'll come up with some. Yeah. I wrecked my car once. And there's a place in Robertson County called Jude's Curve, or at least a couple people call it that. Yeah. So, when you're doing I'll tell one more story, then we'll move on. And I'll make this one quicker. When you're learning emergency driving, there's certain techniques and tactics that you learn to help. Well, curvy roads are a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. They're just a blast, right? Yes. Especially when you kind of halfway know how to drive on them.
Yes.
They're just a blast.
Yep.
And so sure enough, I was going to a shots fired call. And again, it's 3 counties away and you're by yourself and there's just nothing, no one's coming with you. It's just you.
Testosterone is banging.
Yeah. But in a weird way, it's also like, hey, let's see what's on the radio. And hey, let's just do whatever. And because that's your environment, right? And so I found myself in this little series of S curves, back-to-back S curves. And I was like, oh, outside, inside, outside. And I was setting my car up right. And I was just having a good time with it. And suddenly, like, the back end of my car drops off this super steep asphalt thing. And of course, that doesn't do well for the driving. But I flipped around and, of course, went end over end, side over side, I think, and landed on the driver's side. Yeah. Later, there was like a big piece of wood that was come through the window or something, like right at my head, so literally just a few inches away, it would have been a different response. It didn't make it all the way back, but it was just enough to let you know, like, hey, wake up call, and I banged my head on the shotgun that was mounted over top of my head. And of course, you land, you're like, what in the world just happened?
Right.
Yeah. And then am I going to die? Am I going to blow up? Or
Yep.
So again, my car is on. It's on its driver's side, and so.
Do you remember the song playing?
Great question. Well, I'll see if I can come up with it. Not yet, I don't, but yeah, I'll see if I can come up with it. And so the first thing that happens, when you're on your side and you're catching your whereabouts, is you notice all this crap is laying on top of you, right? Because you put stuff in your front seat.
Yep.
And so I remember sitting there in the driver's seat, still not recognizing what's happening. I was taking the stuff that was on me, and of course, you're mad, so you're throwing it in the front seat. Well, that's straight up in the air. So every time I threw it, it came back and hit me. And so, all this is happening in 2 or 3 seconds,
Yes.
right?
Oh,
But
yeah.
you're like, what in the world?
Yep.
And so finally I had to be like Punxsutawney Phil. I had to pop my head out the passenger side.
Give yourself a little orientation.
Yeah, like, huh? Like, oh, holy
Prairie dog.
crap. I turtled. Let's talk a minute about sex. Sex is part of life. It's beautiful and it's essential to living a great life. Enter my friends at Shameless Care, who have created something cool for your personal health care. Shameless Care offers a variety of products you may be interested in. ED treatments, STI treatments, STD testing. So how does it work? Well, that's the easy part. You go to shamelesscare.com, you choose the product you're interested in, you complete an online questionnaire, which is reviewed by a medical doctor, by the way. Pay for the product, and in a couple of days, discreet packaging arrives right to your doorstep. Their customer service is second to none. They're always responsive, and they care. Listen, Ashley's the best. Tell her I said hello. They're a small business ran by people like you and me, and they're incredible. And the best part? We can save you some money. Click on the link in the show notes. Use the code JUDE at checkout. It's JUDE. And save $30 on your first purchase. That's not bad, huh? Visit our website to learn more. Shamelesscare.com. And don't forget the promo code JUDE. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And you always remember the people driving by, stop to help. And I don't know who they are, but as you can imagine what the words are. Hey buddy, need some help? Everything okay? And then the smart ass in me is like, what do you think, dude?
Can you help me flip this car back over?
The state police cruiser's on its side in a ditch in a tree line, and the trooper's crawling out like a groundhog. And hey, buddy, everything okay? Like, oh my gosh!
How else would you talk to a prairie dog or turtle?
Oh shoot! Yeah, good times. Good time. Well, I learned a good lesson. A good friend came to pick me up, and he's like, "You need to call your wife right now." I was like, "No, well, let's go get checked out." And he's like, "Nope."
Yeah.
Nope.
Yep.
Call her right now.
Good on him.
It was good on him. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Of course, she didn't believe me when I called, but I called like, "Hey, I've just been in a bad wreck." And whoa, like, I'm talking to you.
Yes.
This is actually your husband. It's not somebody else calling you. He's like, "That's why I told you to call."
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which was wisdom speaking,
Yes.
right? So he's like, "Yeah, you need to.
Yeah.
You need to.
Yeah.
Think of that." Then we got another story about Stacy, but we'll save that for next week.
Okay.
Maybe if that comes up. So
yeah,
there's a couple stories.
Yeah.
Yay.
Save those for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Tim. We move on to some here.
20-year career, and that's all you got, huh?
You wrecked a car and shot a deer. Oh,
Well,
gosh.
let's move on to a different portion of your life that you didn't even touch on.
All right.
And that's about being in bands. You've never even touched on that in the whole
No.
podcast at all.
No, I haven't.
Any of your band career and any of that. You're welcome to share that if you want. But then my question would be, what would be your favorite memory from being in a band
Being in the bands.
for as long as you've been in bands?
Yeah.
So run with that as you will. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Our hour episode's going to be a marathon.
It is. You don't have to touch on everything right
That's
now.
right.
We can bring it back.
Yeah. So I've always played some sort of instrument. I took piano as a kid. I can still play very, very little.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep saying every year, this is the year to go buy a keyboard or piano and get back to it.
Mm-hmm.
One day I'll actually do that.
Mm-hmm.
I started playing bass with my brother and his friend. I have no idea how old I was way back when, probably 15, 16, something like that. We played the Breakup Song by the Greg Kihn Band. I think that was one of the first songs that we learned and played. And my brother still has the recording somewhere. So he's a lot like your husband.
Wow.
He's kept a lot of this stuff and has an iron trap mind of memories. And so somewhere.
Disgusting a little bit.
Yes, it is. So yeah, he's still got the recording somewhere. He said he did. It's been a little bit since I've asked, but yeah, I'm just kind of teach myself as far as, like playing bass goes. Fast forward a few years, seeing some people play that we knew, and I thought, man, I could do that. I would love to do that. So got into it and started playing in some bands. It's always some type of hard rock cover band for the most part. And so just playing whatever's on the radio and, backwards 20 years basically for picking up songs to play.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I've always said that maybe I'm getting off this drug, but I've always said that's just like a drug. Once you start playing music and once you start playing in bands, that never leaves you. It becomes part of your DNA, part of your blood. And it is absolutely one of the funnest things, just the biggest thrill to play and to do and to whatever that is. So yeah, I've played in, 5 or 6 bands over the years. Would absolutely love
What
to do that.
Play?
Yeah. Bass guitar.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I can play a few things on a guitar, a few chords here or there. And like everything else, I always have so many irons in the fire that I don't slow down enough to dedicate it to a craft. So, yeah, that's been fun. I can sing a little bit. I can do some backing vocals or fill up the space that the backing vocals need to be.
Yep. I can attest to that.
Yeah. Favorite memories probably would be, the Wild Ride days when we first started playing at Malibu, because that was our first big shows and, jumping up on the bars. And
so was that the first time that you were in a playing out live band?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I have to take that back. No, with Kenny from Ugly Tent, we were in a Christian rock band called Battle Axe, ACTS for the book of the Bible.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the high school days. Played like a state youth convention or something like that in his original song. So yeah, we played.
What did he play?
A guitar. Guitar. We started off as like a punk band. I have no idea, right? Because you're high school students, so what's it matter, right? And we recorded. The singer was just a real character of life. He's since passed away, but the singer is a real character of life. And none of us were talented. Let's back up for a second. I mean, it's like, hey, your guitar is 4 strings. Great, you can be the bass player. It's almost at that level, right?
It's high school.
It's high school, yeah. And so we played a take on "Bad to the Bone" by George Thorogood, right? And it's a pretty simple song to play, except it was called "Hung Like John Holmes."
And you were a Christian band?
Not yet. This is the punk band prior.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't do the punk band under that name?
No. Sorry,
I was about to say, wow.
Yeah, but that was the first. Like, you got a bass? Come on over, and there we were. It's like, what can you play? And dun 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 dun. That's pretty easy. And so the next thing you know, it turns out "Hung Like John Holmes." Oh my gosh. And the lyrics worked out perfect for it. Yeah. It's a classic.
Is there recordings of this? Would Kenny have them?
I think Kenny has them. We need to check on that and see if we can
We'll see
find
the next time he's on here.
Hung Like John Holmes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we had another friend, we thought we were rock stars at this point, that we all made cassette tapes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he took it back to college. He's like, man, we've been playing this at all of our parties. What was the name of that? Clyde and the Trashmen was the name of the band. Isn't that awesome?
That was your band name?
Yeah. Clyde and the Trashmen.
Oh, well.
I can't even know where that name came from, but yeah, Clyde and the Trashmen was the first one. The claim to fame's the great cover, Hung Like John Holmes.
So y'all didn't play live?
No, never played live.
Kenny, you did with Kenny though.
But with Kenny, so then we got into the Christian rock band and played a few songs and had an opportunity. We put a show together at the church I think he still goes to.
Oh.
We put a show together and played a few songs and then played them again because you only had like 4 or 5 songs.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Just played them backwards.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Die, Paul, die, or whatever on the Beatles' White Album. That's another. So we'll have to mark that down for a Stacy story too. We need to tell that one next week too. I'll save that one too. But there's a funny story from that night of me being me for there. So then fast forward quite a few years. So some of the favorite memories were, man, playing in that cover band, just having a big time. People showed up. We used to pack the place, and it was like a big wild party, and some good friends ripped clothes off of me, and just got to be, that was fun, right? And you're just
Hell
like,
yeah,
you're like, man, you're in a rock star moment here. And
did you get some panties, bras
yes,
thrown up on the stage?
Yeah,
Look at you.
I've got.
What band is this now?
This would be Wild Ride.
Ride.
Yeah. So, had several. I used to, I'd put them on the microphone. So I'd,
hell yeah.
Yeah, bras and panties and put them on there. And so that was a big fun. Yeah.
Made you feel like you were somebody in Lexington.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Got a bunch of pictures. I still go look at the pictures like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Look at that. And I got to a point once, because I don't consider myself super talented. I consider myself talented and good. Right?
Yeah.
But I know my limitations, and then I have my desires, And so anyway, there was a girl that we know, and she was dancing very seductively in front of me. Mm-hmm. And so being the entertainer, I thought, I'll go dance with her with my guitar. That was a cool rock and roll moment, right? Mm-hmm. And she got this little wave to her body, right? And so I'm mesmerized at this point. A hypnotist wouldn't have done what was happening to me. So you probably know where I'm going. I stayed on the same note.
Big brain wasn't working anymore.
Big brain wasn't working. Little brain took over.
Yes.
Little head was filled with blood at this point and was like, hey.
Yes.
There's a picture of that somewhere too. But yeah, the rest of the band's looking at me like, and I'm like, yeah, but this.
And that's why you want to play bass all the time.
Yeah, bass players make the magic. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so that was big fun.
So was that your favorite memory?
No, I'm just now getting there. So your husband and I, of course, have played in a bunch of bands over time. I've known each other for a long time and played in, I think we counted 6, 7, or 8 different projects the other day.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, we counted a bunch of them that we'd played in. We were in an original band. And I'll go to my grave thinking this original band had an opportunity to do something.
I agree.
Yeah. And we're even asked by one band to, well, no, I can't say that. I believe they were going to ask us to go on tour with them. Mm-hmm. And we were negotiating another tour. And then as bands do, it just goes to shit. Like between the verse and the chorus, it's just that fast. It just disappears that fast. But anyway, with that band, we got the chance to open for a lot of, bands that I followed as a kid. And so some of my music idols, not quite idols, but some of the bands that I played for, we had the opportunity. Excuse me. Get a drink. We had the opportunity to open for We got to open for Jackal, which was pretty cool. Got to do back-to-back shows with Brittany Fox.
Yeah.
Which is still one of my favorites. Yeah. There's just a sound of that of that band, that Les Paul and the Marshall, and this rawness of it. So we got to open for them. And then the cool part about them was, we shut down the bar, and then we just stayed and drank with them and did stupid stuff with them, and nothing crazy, just had drinks, whatever. All right, see you the next night, or whenever it was, next weekend, and open the next show. And in between our set and their set, and keep in mind at the second show, there's only like 7 people there, 11 people there.
Schmeetails.
Yeah, small details. So we gave it our all and had a big time with it. And then they were meeting with us. So after we walk off stage, and it's just a rush, man, being on stage, playing that music. That's why I relate it to a drug. There's just no feeling that's like it. And then once you get it, you want more, and you just keep wanting to experience that. And that's what playing in a band is like. It's just phenomenal. Just a cool thing. If everybody's jiving and jamming and in the groove together, and everybody's doing their part like they're supposed to, then there's nothing else like it.
Yeah.
When everybody's
not playing the same note over and over and over and over.
Yeah, you're not stuck on G for like, but it was worth it. I still have the visual.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, yes. But anyway, in Huntington, we were playing in Huntington, and we walked off stage with Brittany Fox. I'm sorry. We walked off stage to meet with Brittany Fox. They came out of the green room like, hey, guys, that was a great show. Let's have some drinks. I was like, okay, let's do it. And so we got a big bottle of Jaeger, and I don't mean a fifth. I mean a half. I don't know what you call the next. It was a monster size.
A gallon?
Well, I don't know. I've never seen a bottle that big, but I guess it probably could be it could be gallon size.
Rockstar size.
Yes. Yes. Rockstar sized, cold frozen bottled Jaeger.
Hell yeah.
And so Brittany Fox like, hey, go get the bottle. And they did. And they came back and we shared drinks with Jaeger, Jaeger drinks with Brittany Fox. And they held up their set for like 45 minutes. Just to hang out with us, talk with us, share stories, and whatever else. And so, ultimately they've got to go play for the handful of people that are out front. And we stuck around. Now at the time, all of us are professionals and all of us are working, and, you can't quit the job that you have a pension with to play for 7 people.
Yes.
Or maybe you do. I don't know. But, I couldn't. None of us could. And so I think I drove separately. I think, I don't remember, but I remember everybody else leaving. Maybe that's wrong. I don't know. Do you know? Were you there?
I was there.
Okay.
I remember.
I just remember, it was the girlfriend of the singer. And I went up to her and I said, hey, we're going to go. And she goes, nope, you don't need to do that. Well, we all got to work here in a few hours. We all have, 9 to 5s or 8 to 4s. And, it's getting late by this point. And we still had a 2-hour drive plus unload and all the other crap that you do.
Yep.
Seriously, you don't need to leave. And I was like, seriously, got to go.
Yeah.
The boys want you to stick around. They have something to ask you. They want to talk to you about something. I hear you. I get it. But I got to go. It's like, okay. And off we went. And I knew right then, I knew what it was. No one's ever said it. So just so I'm clear for the record, no one asked us to go on tour. But we all know what was coming after that conversation. And so as I look back at music, right, and we opened for other people, Joey Belladonna of Anthrax, and a cool band out of New York, ZO3 or ZO2, ZO3,
I think.
Which I don't think they're around anymore. So we got to open for a lot of cool acts, right? But that moment with Brittany Fox, who I grew up loving, girl school.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Oh my
My daughter's so jealous of that.
Yes.
She now wears David's jacket that is signed by them. She's like, it's really signed by them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We were on tour and shows her the pictures.
Yes.
Oh my God. Go ahead.
Yeah. Who cares? I don't know where I was going, but when I think about those things, I thought, man, we were right there. It's just what a cool moment. And again, none of us were super talented. It's not to overstate this, that we're all Eddie Van Halen's in the mix, because that's not true at all.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have to be, but the sound was awesome.
But that band was fucking incredible.
Yeah, it was.
And there was a sound that came out of that. And I still listen to Distant Theory today. So go download it and make somebody a couple dollars. I still listen to that music today. And that's not 15 years ago, is it? Or are we getting close to 15 years?
It would have to be. Has to be.
To me, that music is equally as good today as it was back then. It's not dated at all. And that's unbelievable. I mean, that's just unbelievable.
Totally agree.
Yeah. So we got to do some cool stuff with that. And, you know, I'll go to my grave thinking Brittany Fox was about to ask us to go on tour. And that's sexy and all right.
Yep.
All that's sexy as hell.
Yeah.
But they show up in like in a Ford Aerostar van, you know, pulling a U-Haul. And, you know, the 5 of them are crammed, 6 of them are crammed in this Ford Aerostar van to play for 7, 8, 10 people. And I was like, but it was right.
It was right there. You edged the shit out of that. You couldn't have edged that one any closer.
Yeah, I edged my rock star dreams, which I would give up a whole lot of stuff in my life to be that rock star.
Yeah.
I edged that right to the edge of it.
Yeah.
And walked out.
Yep. Good for you. Way to give up on that. Show people how to not live their dreams.
That's right. Yeah.
Stupid responsibility.
Yeah, I know.
Rock stars don't have those.
I know. Daggone daughter. I mean, wives come and go, right? I'm kidding. Yeah, but that was some of the fun stuff. That's some of my fun memories, to think about the people we got to open for and to meet and to do all those things. That was big stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. I'm done with you in the hot seat.
Phew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need a breather for a second?
Well, we can stick with, let's stick with some of the music questions that came in. Let's finish up those music questions.
Move on to listener questions?
Yeah, some listener questions. So, we had a few questions submitted, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you guys chose to do that. So the first music question we'll get to was, someone challenged me, Derek challenged me to say, do I like the sound of a Stratocaster or a Telecaster?
Ooh.
Which is my preferred sound? So those are both Fender instruments, and they're both distinct. You know, it's kind of like one of those things, if you know, you know. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe the average person may not pick out what guitar is being played, but each instrument has this distinct sound to it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, once you know, you can kind of pick them out. And so it's a tough question. If I were, and I will choose, I'll choose the Stratocaster as my preferred sound. The older I'm getting, the more I'm enjoying the Telecaster. And the Telecaster, from my point of view, is, you can think of as country music. Mm-hmm. You know, the chicken picking and all those type of guys. You know, a lot of them are playing Telecaster because it has this distinct, different sound. And then you got some blues players playing Telecaster. So it's pretty interesting. But the Stratocaster is also a Fender instrument, but I mean, it's anything from, you know, Yngwie with this unbelievably classical rock. I think that's what he's playing, or something like it, to Kenny Wayne Shepherd's one of my favorite, you know, blues artists. Oh my gosh, man, he's just killing that thing.
Yep.
Stevie Ray Vaughan's playing the Stratocaster. And so you start to get into these big blues things, which a big influence for me. So yeah, between those two, I would pick the Stratocaster as my preferred sound over the Telecaster. Because probably my influences come from the Stratocaster. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Although I'm want to buy one, and I'm thinking maybe I should get the Telecaster.
Buy both.
Yeah, just buy both.
YOLO.
Yeah. In every color.
Start with one of each.
Yes.
Then you can work your way through.
That's right. That's right.
Just solid sound advice.
That's right. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for looking out for my best interest.
What I'm here for.
Uh-huh.
You're welcome, Stacy.
Yeah. So Derek, thanks for that. Yeah, I'd probably choose the Stratocaster, I think, is my preferred sound. But to me, they have different applications. So just depending on what mood I'm in to listen to is what I kind of dig up with it. But that's that.
Yeah, great question.
Yeah, that was a good question. All right, we'll stick with music for a second. Hurley had asked what my favorite Octolux song
Yes.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Octolux is a local band here in Central Kentucky. Been around for a while. They've been around for some time. David played in Octolux. He was with Octolux for a while.
Yep.
Yep. And so again, David and I knew each other for a long time. I met Amanda through David, and now Amanda works both with me during the day and producing the podcast. So,
and I'm married to David.
And you're married to David. Yeah.
David Fight.
David Fight.
For clarification.
Yeah. Hey, Dave. Yeah.
Hey, honey.
So, coming up with my favorite Octolux song actually wasn't as hard of a challenge as it may sound, right? Because Hurley may not know this, is that one of the things that I have yet to accomplish, at least to a point where I'm satisfied, is to record an album. Mm-hmm. I've done a lot of cool stuff, and I'm good to be able to, to leave the music behind. But one of the things I've never really gotten to do was to record an album. Mm-hmm. And at the time, for the rest of the story here, I was looking for how can I do some stuff, or how can I get involved, or what can I do, or because David, mm-hmm. his current band was full at that point.
Yep.
And so I was like, well, I don't really have a project. I don't really have a place to go. And I'll do this every 2 or 3 years. I'll play for a little bit, hang up the guitars. The drug hits you again. Pick up the guitars. You find something to do.
Edge the shit out of it.
Set it back. Blah, blah, blah.
Lather, rinse, repeat.
Lather, rinse, repeat. That's my cycle. At any rate, I was sharing this with your David, like, hey, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. He's like, man, listen, maybe give Hurley a call, because Octolux is looking for a bass player, and they're getting ready to go back into the studio, and they're getting ready to record a new album. And I was like, okay, yeah. Hadn't listened to a lot by that point. I knew David was part of them, but you kind of separate yourself. So I just hadn't heard a lot by that point. So I thought, all right, let's do that. So I had downloaded 3 or 4 albums at that point, and I was trying to work my way through learning their songs, because you don't want to reach out to somebody, hey, I want to come audition, and then have no clue what they even are, right? Yeah. So I was actually playing songs at home, playing Octolux songs at home, and trying to work my way through them and learn them and put them together. And because I figured if you'd show up for the audition, they'd say, hey, do you want to play? What do you want to play? I wanted to have some songs that I thought were good.
That's very flattering.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was actually listening to them before the question came in to say, mm-hmm. but I don't think you knew that. So there you go, Hurley. Mm-hmm. You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, to the point, we're going to play some sections of these songs as we get into it. I'm going to give you some honorable mentions, I think, before, and we don't have to look them up, but just honorable mentions that I liked to give Octolux a little bit of a shout out. And I'll tell you what I like about the band. I don't know them personally, so I can't speak to them. But as far as the music goes, and this is just one man's opinion, to me, they remind me of like a modern, heavy Ramones. Kind of like is that fair?
Fair, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a punkish vibe. Mm-hmm. Yep. But also into a heavy rock. Mm-hmm. Add in a little mix of metal or something like that. You get a wide range of stuff with Octolux. And at first I was like, I don't know. I don't know. But then you start listening to other things, like, man, there's some grooving stuff mm-hmm. in there.
Oh yeah.
So they kind of feel like that to me. Mm-hmm. A little mix of that, but in a modern version with it. Yeah,
I'd agree.
Okay, good.
I'd agree.
So some of my honorable mentions would be Dirty Rock Slut, which you can't go wrong with that title.
Never.
Yeah. Horns up already. Something.
Horns? Is that what you call him?
Hey, Horns. Good to see you again, little buddy. Are you stuck on that one note? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. G.
Testament, I thought, was a pretty cool tune. What's the song? Black Shirts and Iron Crosses, mm-hmm. I think was a pretty good tune.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's do the 3. Let's play 3, and let's do them in I think we'll go in reverse order. We'll go this one first. Okay. Now the cool part about No Apologies for Broken Hearts is David's playing on this, right?
He is.
Yeah. And David's a guitar player. Yeah. And so this is one of the songs that he's
I
on.
believe he played lead on this, and I believe Hurley was rhythm. And if I'm wrong, sincere apologies, but I'm just the band wife, and I try to stay totally uninvolved because I'm just a fan.
Yeah.
So, but I'm pretty sure in Octolux, David was lead guitar.
Yeah.
Hurley was rhythm. I feel pretty confident.
Perfect. So we'll just play little pieces of it, a minute or so for some of these. Anyway, enjoy. No Apologies for Broken Hearts, Octolux, 2009. Cool tune. I tell you, to choose, well, for what I like, I guess, and then to choose for this question is I looked for songs that I think bring crowd engagement, right? For that possibility. So if you're playing them live and you're playing these songs, it's real opportunities for the crowd to get involved with the song.
Yes.
And as a band who plays original songs, especially in a local level, right? Nobody knows your songs. They're coming because they like you.
Right.
Right. And so you got to find ways to try to connect with the crowd in order to get them to come back and be fans. And so each of these songs have something about just the pace of them or the chorus, or there's some ability for the crowd.
Agree.
To get involved with each of these songs. So that was the first one. Awesome. All right. Second one, I think we said that one. Yeah. So this is from 2022. It's their, I guess it's Loud, Fast, and Awesome CD that came out. And the song that I picked here that I liked is Razor Blades and Sutures. What a title. Yeah.
That's rock and roll.
That's rock and roll. Here it is. I think that chorus is pretty awesome. I mean, not only is it just a rockin' jamming tune, at that pace that, when you hear it, you can just see the crowd bouncing to that, or you can see the opportunity. Then when that chorus is, whoa,
yeah,
man, everybody
totally
can sing that.
Yeah,
that's a pretty cool. Yeah. That's a pretty cool thing. So great song there. And then for me, the number one song that I liked best from Octolux is on the 2023 album. Right? Is this one from 2023? No, this is back to 2009. Yeah, I was
No Apologies, you said, was your favorite one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. 2009. There's another one that we were going to play. Maybe we pull it up anyway. I don't know. Yeah, let's do this.
You want me to?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do this one?
Let's do this one. Let's do this one first.
Okay.
So yeah, this is another cool one. Back to 2009.
Mm-hmm.
David's on this one.
He is.
Yeah.
I believe he is on this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
On Chromosome.
Chromosome.
And if you want to talk about crowd pleasers, this one was always the one live that set the whole crowd off.
Yeah.
Every time.
How come?
Just the beat of it.
Yeah.
It's just a crowd participation song.
Hit it.
And it just goes
1, 2, 3, 4. Something like that.
right about here.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. You can just see the crowd there with that.
Yeah.
Let's pull up this other one too.
Let's do it.
We might as well. Let's do a fourth one here for Octolux. And so this one is from the 2023 album. So if I would have practiced and if I would have auditioned and if I would have been selected.
And if you would have not edged it.
And if I would not have edged it, then there's a slight possibility that I would have played on this album or song, but it could have been the bass player song for all I know. I have no idea.
Hurley will let you know after this.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, let me know. But for this one, it was Writhe, which is the lead track to Amen to Oblivion, which is their 2023 album. Yeah. And we'll see if we can get that going. So we'll go through. I'll tell you one of the things that I like that we've never really talked about, but I love like Spanish guitars.
Mm-hmm. I agree completely.
Yeah. And so when I heard this, I'm like, oh man, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's something cool about it.
Yeah.
Not knowing what's next, right?
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's anticipatory.
Ooh.
Is that a word?
It is, I think.
Today it is.
Yeah.
On Monday.
I think that's a cool tune. It reminds me of a little bit of Volbeat.
Yeah.
In there.
I could see that.
Yeah. Again, just pick stuff that I thought, man, it's pretty jam. And, you go across this whole catalog that they have, man, you can put together a pretty rocking show out of this.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
thanks for that question. That was pretty cool. It was a cool assignment to dig in here and find some stuff. And, you can find Octolux on all the, I guess, music places, wherever you purchase your music. So YouTube or wherever else they are, but search them out, give their stuff a listen, and help those guys out.
Find them on all the socials.
Find them, all the socials. Yeah, thanks. Yep, that's right. Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, Harley, for the question.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Let's move into some of the work-related stuff.
Yeah.
Our current work, and then we'll finish up with maybe another easy one. So Pam, family friend, had sent in a question today about, so now we're moving into some of the criminal justice stuff and previous career stuff that we had. So she wrote in talking about, she gets these scam letters and they're addressed like they're medical papers, they're medical things, but they have, certain pieces of her information. Is that, I guess? Mm-hmm. Yeah. What to do with those things. Mm-hmm. And, I really need to put together some training or something to.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah. Yeah. But to put out to the listeners that are out there, you really got to be careful for these things. There's a lot of public records easily available.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes.
Now, in our company, we pay for a database to be able to access records. And it's different than the stuff, if you Google searched, whatever comes up, everybody's done it, right? It's not those type of databases, something a little bit different. But there's enough personal information in there that if you wanted to create a scam, you could. So you got to be really careful, right? Because they can get pieces of your social security number, pieces of your address, pieces of your birth date. Mm-hmm. And listen, these scammers are pretty talented. Give them their due.
And then introduced AI, and then it gets even scarier.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about AI, but yeah, introduce AI, and you can get even scarier. So, the best advice I have from there, and we get the same thing. We get a bunch of crap all the time. I was even noticing scam emails now are written differently. And one got me, I didn't open it. I mean, I opened the email, but I didn't open the attachment, of course. But it was the wording now in the emails was of such, there's always craft your subject line so people want to open it, or craft your opening line. Yep. But even that's morphed into something that I was like, oh, I guess this is somebody I talk to every day.
Right.
And it got me.
Yeah.
And I thought, I clicked and I was like, what in the world? Anyway. Yeah. So, Pam, to your letters and stuff, I'm sure you are. I'm sure you're being diligent with it. But if I have a question, I end up calling the company, and I dig deep to make sure I'm not calling a third party.
Yeah.
Because you never know who that third party is.
Yeah, good idea.
And, some of these, I'm talking about medical billing and stuff. Some of these groups use third parties to make calls, or to, I don't say collect debt. That's the wrong way to say it, but as third party billers, I guess would be the way to say that. And so sometimes you don't really even know who you're calling, and it becomes very difficult to work your way through it. But just because they have part of your personal information in there doesn't mean you're dealing with the right party. So just keep digging to figure out where you are. And then I always go back to wherever my service was provided. Somebody I can speak to and recognize, or a local office or something like that. Because, man, you just never know. Right. You just never know. Yeah. So great question, Pam. Thank you for that. Get asked this a lot, coming from a law enforcement background into a criminal defense background. So my joke is I've moved from one side of the courtroom to the other, right? I get asked a lot of times, what's the difference and what's it like? And, some people will make their comments, and that's fine. They're probably just having a good time. But, the point of it is if each of us truly believe in the Constitution and the rights that the Constitution gives us, right?
Yep.
Then we each have a role in ensuring that the Constitution is upheld. And that seems like a way off left field answer to give to that, but it's not, right? And so when an arrest is made and someone's civil liberties are taken away, and it's easy for everyone to say, well, they shouldn't have committed a crime. Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, you have to understand, if you believe in that Constitution, the constitutional rights, which I think we do, then you also have to understand that the worst criminal in our community also shares those same constitutional rights. And that's heavy to admit sometimes. That's heavy for people to accept sometimes, but it's true. And so the other side of that coin, I would say too, is if this were happening to you or your family member, then who would you want trying to ensure their constitutional rights or their case is looked at? Would you want Delbert, who can barely do anything? Or do you want the guy that has spent his career in this system and understands how it works and how to help you with it? So that's the first, I guess, part to talk about the criminal justice piece. The question came from, or the question is, because I get it a lot, so there's not really one person to credit for it, but what's one of the most surprising things about the criminal justice system that you didn't expect? And it's kind of loaded. I know on the show, on Jude the podcast, we want to have a criminal justice thread. This is a huge topic, and it needs to be explored from all sides, whether it's law enforcement or whether it's attorneys inside the court system. Everybody's got a different role, and everybody's doing something different in the criminal justice system. Several years ago in a previous career, I would tell you, I don't know if I knew that or appreciated it, probably just didn't pay attention to it. But in today's life, we're right in the middle of it.
Very much so.
Yeah, very much so. And you see some of the craziest stuff. And I tell everybody all the time, just like you all, I watch all the crime series stuff on Netflix and streaming services that we have. And I can tell you routinely in our office, we have way more interesting cases than the stuff that you're seeing on Netflix.
I second that.
Yeah. And it's just a Monday. It's just a Tuesday. And the case will come in and you're thinking, oh my gosh, this can't even be real.
Yep.
I wouldn't believe this case if I watched it on Dateline or 2020 or something like that. And then you get into it and you're thinking, this is real. This is real. So to the point of the question, what's one of the most surprising things, and it's going to be a harsh answer, but it's the truth, is that if you're uneducated, you're poor, or you have color, you will have a very tough time in the criminal justice system. And that speaks against what the system is supposed to be. It's supposed to be to ensure each of those folks have equal representation. But it doesn't always work out that way. And, you may take offense to that. Whoever's listening may take offense to that question. But I can tell you, at least our work here in the last 5 years. By the way, do you know we're really at our 5-year anniversary sometime?
Oh.
We really are. We need to do something for that. But anyway, in those 5 years, there's been a lot of times that I've gone to visit clients in the jails across the state and to sit down with them and talk with them and learn about them and learn about their cases. And I'm not here to say they're all innocent, because they're not. But they deserve a fair, just path through the criminal justice system. It only works best if everybody gets that opportunity. And I started looking around the jails and I thought, and here's the harsh part, it's probably the most arrogant thing I'll say, is nobody looks like me in the jails. And we've heard that from other, facets of life and, just different things in life.
Do they not look like you because they don't look like you, or because maybe they did at one time, but they've just been locked up for so long and now they don't anymore? Or have you considered that?
Yeah, that's a fair question. We've had one or two clients over our time that you're thinking the jail has just turned you into something different than you were before you got here. There's been
we may have one now currently.
We have one now currently. That is that way. If not more.
But fair point. Yes, yeah. I wasn't trying to challenge you.
No.
Honest question.
This is why we need to talk about it.
Right.
There's so much stuff here to talk about.
There's so much there. Yeah. I'm trying to hold back a lot.
Oh my gosh, me too.
To not elongate your story.
Or just to get on a soapbox and take off. But it really started hitting me to say, why, I'm not loaded with money. I don't have much money at all. Right. But I think I have the capability of posting a bond. I have the capability of helping my defense team should something happen to me or one of my family. I have the ability to access resources. I have the ability to do certain things.
And you have the knowledge within yourself to know how to attempt to ask those questions and defend yourself, where a lot of clientele does not.
Great.
Huge.
Great thing
huge.
To say. Yeah, I have the knowledge to learn how to ask, how to get involved with that. And so as you look around, at least in the jails, and I know I'm generalizing and et cetera. And if you want to debate me, that's great. Come on the show.
Come on the show. Please. We're open to all of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's talk about it.
Yes.
But you start to see clients who are not educated. And so they don't know they don't even know what's happening at the moment, much less how did I get here, much less anything else, or how do I help prepare for my defense. And so if you're uneducated, the system doesn't care.
Nope.
The system's going to steamroll you, and the system's going to roll on. with the best situation, the system is going to roll on. So that was part of it. Poor is another one that you're just limited to what resources you have access to. And let me say this too, while we're on the air for talking about the poor. The public defender's office get a lot of shit about being public defenders. But let me tell you, that's not the case. They're great attorneys. They're like anything else, right? You got good ones and bad ones, just like in every walk of life, just like my previous career, just like my current career.
Yes.
You got good ones and bad ones. But they have access to a whole lot of resources that other attorneys don't equally have access to.
Very fair point.
Yep.
Yep.
And so, which is kind of the point of the public defenders, indigent defense, right? And people that don't have these things.
Yep.
But I should spend a minute saying those guys are fierce competitors, and they're not only that, many of them are called to that work and they want to do criminal defense work. And it's admirable to work with people like that. And that's been really eye-opening too, because in my previous life, I would have said the same thing's been said to me. Oh, you went to the dark side.
Yep.
Nope, not at all. I just using my strengths and skills to do,
correct,
a different type of work. And my eyes have been unbelievably opened with jaw-dropping stuff in our office all the time. So yeah, people that are economically not up to par, whatever that is, the system seems awful tough for those folks.
Yes.
And then people of color, so hard to say.
Oh, yes.
So hard to talk about.
Yeah.
But man, the system is there. And I'm not getting on a soapbox of privilege and all this other stuff. And I'm not going down any of that path. I'm just saying, when you look at cases and you look at how they're put through the system, if you're uneducated, poor, or of color, you're going to have a long, hard road to get where you need to in the criminal justice system. And so if you truly...
And a lot of the times forgotten. Truthfully. I mean, we have that in our office,
routinely
right?
have clients that have been charged and sitting in jail for years before they get even to court appearances.
Because they don't even know how to ask. That's the lack of ability to even know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's perfect. That's what we need to talk about, right? So, I mean, they sit there for years, multiple years before their case begins to get adjudicated. It's just amazing. It's just amazing the way that it works. And so, as I was going to close up with a question to say, if you truly believe in the Constitution, and if you will remove yourself from some of the politics that exist and some of the horse shit that's spread to you on the TV, and if you will look at, do I truly believe in this document that outlines our country, then you can approach this conversation at the criminal justice system from a whole new perspective.
And if you don't know if you believe in that document, ask yourself if you would want to be defended with that document, and that will change your perspective.
You can't say any better than that. Yeah. So I always say it. What if it happened to you?
Yep.
What would you think? Because people are quick to give their comments, right?
Yep.
And somebody will say, well, they shouldn't have committed the crime. I can tell you, we have had clients in here, in our office, we have cases, I should say, where I do not think they have committed the crime.
Agreed.
Years ago, I would tell you that doesn't exist. Or to be simply the one-off thing that you see on Dateline or TV. And that's not one, that's multiple that we've had, where even the elements of a crime have not even been met. And some of those folks are held in jail for years because they're uneducated, they're poor, or they're of color, and they can't get where they need to go in the criminal justice system. If that doesn't call you to action, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you at that point. But
yeah.
And if you don't think that's real, then you can just keep your head in the sand, because it's real.
Yeah.
It's every day here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tough some days, isn't it?
For sure.
Yeah.
And it's heavy.
It is heavy.
Yeah.
It is heavy. Anyway.
But we believe we're doing great work.
Yes, we do.
We know we are.
We know we are. We're getting good outcomes for our clients and helping move things the right way. And that lends itself to a healthy, successful criminal justice system, which all of us should want.
Yes. And at the end of the day, it's humanity. We should want the best for our fellow humans.
That's right. That's right. Yes, we should. That's exactly right. Anyway, that's one thing to look forward to with Jude the podcast is trying to get a criminal justice thread going. As odd as it is, everybody wants to talk about it.
Nobody wants to come on and put their voice behind the mic and defend their actions, their words, I guess.
Yeah. And we're not confrontational. Our job's not to be confrontational. No. Our job's just to say, let's have a conversation about it.
You'll teach us.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. So we'll get there. Look for those episodes to come. All right.
Yeah.
One other question I have, and you may have some others. I don't know if you have others or not, but what other podcasts have I done or look forward to doing? And so this comes from our friend Mo. So Mo and I did a podcast called Bourbon in the Basement.
Right.
And that's still available. You should be able to find that on all the platforms, just like Jude the podcast. I had a blast with that. That was and I think Mo's too, first leap into doing some type of podcast. The premise of that show was a lot of fun. 30 minutes tops, give or take a minute or two. We would review a new bourbon every show. That's always fun. So that was kind of cool to be able to share a drink with your friend. And then the fun part of the show was each of us got to ask the other a question. However, the question was random and unknown to the other party. And so it's pretty cool when you have the question because you can think up your answer.
Yeah.
And then both of you get to provide the answer to the question, right? Yeah, it's a challenge when you're put on the spot like that.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, we had
especially on a hot mic.
Yeah. And you always think of the best answer when you stop the recording.
Oh, yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. I keep promising Mo that we're going to do it again, and we will. So we've got to get this one rolling. This one feels like it's picking up a little bit of steam.
Yes.
But in due time, we'll get Bourbon in the Basement going again. Be Bourbon in the office or Bourbon in the studio, wherever we are.
Don't give away all your details.
Yeah. Studio basement. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Amanda and I have kicked around a couple different show ideas. There's some music stuff that we've talked about over time that I think would be pretty cool to do. Since we've been talking about bands and music.
Oh, yeah.
There's some cool stuff there that, to my limited research, doesn't appear to be out there in the podcast world. And so it'd just be pretty cool to do the, talking about new bands and those that are about to be successful and those type of things. So there's some cool stuff that's still out there. So maybe we'll get to those too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of Mondays.
We got a lot of Mondays. Yeah. So that kind of takes us full circle, right? To say, why do we start a podcast to what other podcasts exist for us? It's been fun.
I think there's a lot. There's a lot about you to explore still.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
We need to get some of your friends on here and tell some of your dirty little secrets.
Yeah.
On recording, because we don't edit these.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so that's a good point,
totally
too. We could bring on, the way that we approach the show is we hit record.
Yep.
And then we hit stop.
Yep.
And so there's nothing in between. So if you say it, it's on the episode.
It's there.
It's there. Maybe that's why nobody's come on for criminal justice. Yeah.
No take-backs.
No take-backs. That's right. But it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's enjoyable.
Great time.
Yeah.
And we'd love to have you on.
That's right. So how do you find us? Great question.
Great one to ask yourself.
Yes. This question comes from David.
Long-time listener.
So you can find us on all the socials. I think we're on the IG, on the Facebook,
the old FB,
and
we're not on the X.
No, we don't have.
Have you started OnlyFans yet?
I do, but they keep charging me too much. I can't get anybody to subscribe to it.
Maybe next time.
Yeah. Somebody just paid me to stop the OnlyFans channel.
That was me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Looking out for my best
Might have just
interest.
gotten myself fired.
My God, man. Put that thing up.
Please.
You're embarrassing all of us.
I have to go to work with you.
Oh, gosh. Or you can email us at guests with an S at judethepodcast.com. That's guests at judethepodcast.com. We're starting to get some people saying, hey, I want to be on your show. And so it's just up to us to get it scheduled. But we'll do that, and we'll get you on here, and we'll talk, and we'll just do whatever we need to do.
And it'll be a good time.
It'll be a good time.
Yeah.
We got drinks.
Yeah.
We try to make you as comfortable as you can.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
What else you got?
That's all I got today.
Yeah.
This is a good one.
I thought we would talk 30 minutes.
I knew we would.
Yeah, I know you know that. We're approaching 2 hours.
Yeah.
It didn't scratch the surface on some of the stuff that we need to explore and talk about.
Yeah, but our listeners know you better. So
They
that's
do.
fun. That's great.
Fun. Oh, it's a blast.
Yeah.
And they'll give us some more for next time's Q&A.
Yeah.
We'll do this every so often, I think.
Yeah. We've got the preface of your book written.
Yeah, no
Now we
kidding.
got to start on chapter 1.
Phew. Yeah. Yeah, there's that.
All right.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being part of our show. Seriously, we appreciate every listen, download, share, follow, whatever you do with these things. I'm not exactly sure just yet, but whatever it is, just know that it's appreciated. If you like it, share it. And if you don't like it, share it. Look for future episodes, and I guess that's it, right?
That's it.
Okay. All right, guys. See you next time.
Yeah. Thank you, David.
Thanks.